I dig Thrill Seeker. He's a pioneer in the VR space, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how VR develops within the next 5 years. I think it's going to have like a revolution of sorts. I think it'll be much cheaper. I think the titles will be much more streamlined and graphically enhanced. And really cool dude. It takes the time, comments on our highlights. Also his girlfriend Fia, she's really cool as well. I think it's called the Virtual Reality Show. They take time to actually comment on us watching them because I don't think they've ever had anybody react to their stuff before. And so the cool thing is while we don't have like tons of views on it, they actually come to us to look and see how we are reacting to it to perfect their content, which I think really is very cool, and DG360 super underrated. You, me, all underrated. I mean, like we get a couple hundred views, maybe a couple thousand views on this stuff with 16,000 subscribers. These guys have millions of subscribers, and they're basically commenting on our highlights like, hey, thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to do this, because I don't think a lot of people do that. I don't think a lot of people do that, to actually have opinions in a reaction video. Let me just, there's plenty of reaction videos out there, but I don't think there's a lot of reaction videos like this, where we actually take the time out to talk about it together, see what we like, see what we don't like. There's not a lot of channels out there because they're all doing stupid faces. You know, they're all the whole video long. Like, what's the content in that, right? Which is why I hate being lumped in with the reactor group. Because I talk like 3 times longer than these videos. You can have a 14-minute video here. I guarantee you this highlight's going to be at least 30, right? And people are going to say, that's not content. Well, that's bullshit. That is content. We're taking the time out to voice our opinions on things. This ain't a regular reaction channel, you know? So anyway, you guys deserve more credit. You guys are underrated, and we should all be elevated to that next level, shouldn't we?
You're not gonna hate me.
Low effort. Yeah, right, Jörg. Right.
Out of all of the VR headsets I've used over the past few years, the one I actually end up using 99% of the time.
Thank you, Sage. I appreciate you. Resubscribe 12 months long. Amen. Thank you so much, Sage. Welcome back to the stream, bro. We missed you.
Has been the Valve Index, but it's been 4 years now, and I've been itching for an upgrade. VR's come a long way since its original launch, and I'm happy to say it's finally here. This is officially the headset that is replacing my trusty Valve Index.
Oh,
this
he's replacing
is the big
it?
screen Beyond.
Oh, that's sexy. It's so,
whoa, hold
so
up.
Small.
On paper, this choice to switch from the Index to this kind of...
I gotta tell my girlfriend that small is sexy, you know? Christy! Did you hear that, honey? Did you hear that? Look, this is the upgraded model, and it's much smaller, Christy.
It makes absolutely no sense. Compared to the Index, the Beyond has a lower refresh rate, smaller field of view, dimmer screens, and cost double the price. To many, this may actually feel like a real step back for VR hardware, and I get it. Promise, we'll talk about that. But first, I want you to take everything you know about VR headsets and just hold your reservations for a moment. Because this right here is a completely new class of VR device.
It already smells expensive. It already smells. What are we pricing this at? I hope Thrill Seeker tells us the price of this, but I'm already imagining this is going to be relatively expensive. It's so slimline, man. It's so slimline and out of the way, and that's exactly what you want out of a headset.
Never seen anything like it before, at least not one that actually shipped. And this is exactly where technical information about VR headsets in particular really just don't capture
the the ball today, Figures. Thank you so much, considerably.
Next time, it's gonna be glass.
DG Bruce Lee is on it. Thank you so much, considerably.
We can point at numbers and rank things by them, but numbers can't quantify an experience. And in my time with the Beyond, I've had some of the absolute best experiences I've ever had in VR. So whether you're actually looking to buy this thing or not, if you're interested in the present and future of VR, especially VR form factors, I'd urge you to come along this journey, because I think we're seeing something really special unfold right here in front of us, and I quite literally can't get enough of it. So this is the newest iteration of the Beyond. I've been watching this headset since it was pretty much 3D printed and held together by hot glue, and things have changed quite a bit. And while this is still not quite the final version, what I have here is pretty representative of what's going to be shipping later this year. And as you can see, it's gotten a lot prettier since the last video. And previously, my only experiences with the Beyond have been for an hour or two here or there, but I've had
the VR industry loves this man because he's out there making this type of content when not a lot of other people are out there doing it in a journalistic manner. That's why I like Thrill Seeker. You know, there are some VR content creators out there. It's a pretty big field, right? But like, I like Thrill Seeker's take on it because he's actually approaching it like a journalist, like old school journalists that I used to watch. You know what I mean? Back in the 90s when I used to think that all that corporate sponsored media was actually the truth. And now, unfortunately, we have it on the other end of the spectrum where like everybody thinks they're a professional and everybody thinks they're a journalist, and you know, like then you don't even know what to trust. So in the historic form of media, you can't trust it because it was all corporate bullshit, and it's still frankly corporate bullshit. But the legacy media is dying, right? And we can see that. We can see more people are getting their news from like Twitter and people on YouTube and stuff. But the dangerous part of that is a lot of the people in that spectrum, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but they sound like that they do. So you have to be very careful where you're getting your information from these days. It's a very dangerous minefield. I dig this dude because he actually takes the time out, talks about this tech, and you know that he takes the time to research it. It comes through in his content. He's super professional. And he gets early access to all this hardware, and he's showing it and displaying it. And these VR companies, they absolutely love that. They're getting the free advertising, man. They're getting free advertising. He's getting a nice little bump because he's showing new shit all the time. It's a nice little marriage there. I dig what he's doing. He's smart about how he approaches his content.
Had this unit for the past month or so, and I've been spending a pretty ungodly amount of time using it. So before we get into the full Beyond experience, here's some basic information on it. I'll start by saying that there's no way to really understand the Beyond without acknowledging its main development philosophy. Basically, Big Screen set out to build the smallest, lightest, and most comfortable VR headset possible for you. And that's an important part. There's no onboard processor, no built-in battery, no cameras, just a VR headset that plugs into a PC using base stations for tracking. And really, the Beyond is just much closer to a set of custom VR goggles than a typical VR headset as we've always thought of it. Every unit is custom made using an iPhone face scan for both a personalized face gasket that allows for your exact face shape and to set the headset's IPD at exactly your interpupillary distance, which on one side is awesome. You'll never have to adjust or fiddle with or change your IPD again. You just throw it on and the headset kind of melts onto your face. On the other hand, you just can't really share this headset with people around you. And for some people, that's probably a total deal breaker, and I get that entirely, but it's just a fundamental feature of this headset. It's not for everyone, but that's kind of the point. This is a headset made for you, not everyone. And for all of its sharing drawbacks, this development philosophy does have some inherent huge benefits. In total, the Beyond is about the same size and weight as a Quest 2's controller, which is crazy. And we'll talk about the experience of these trade-offs in a bit, but I want to get into the juicy technical details for just a moment. I
mean, he's setting this up to be like a luxury type item, man. And you know what? In this space, shouldn't it be? Shouldn't these items be like super luxurious and like custom to only you? Doesn't that make it more like sexy in a way that like this is specifically designed for you? Like, I don't know how he's going to explain this, but like the setup he's teeing it up. You know what I mean? He's teeing it up right now, and it looks, it's feeling good, but let's see how custom it truly is.
Board are two 2560 by 2560 micro OLED displays, a couple of tiny pancake lenses, a fiber optic cable, an extra USB-C input, and of course, it's also got a stereo microphone, which takes the cake as definitively the best microphone ever put on a VR headset to date. And a funny little thing here, my mic setup for recording these videos costs about as much as the Beyond does, and the Beyond gives it a run for its money.
Wow. You can hear me using it right now, actually.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. There's no built-in headphones or
Actually
speakers,
sounded
but
better.
I've just been using AirPods.
That actually sounded better than what he's using currently. Like, in my opinion, I could hear the difference in the two. And I would actually say that the microphone he used there and he spliced the audio in from that microphone sounded better than what he's currently using. I think that his levels right now are a little too bassy. That other microphone was a little bit more clean and clear, if you ask me.
Max or Pro, something that I've kind of
But
grown
I'm an
to really
audiophile,
love, surprisingly. But there are a few huge things that we have to talk about, and some of them are kind of negative. But this also just kind of goes to show where we're at right now with technology and what kind of trade-offs you have to make something like this. And warning, this headset is gonna start sounding worse and worse, but hang in there with me. So these lenses do a pretty good job, but they're not perfect, especially with extremely high contrasting scenes.
I don't know,
like,
Gator,
for example,
that's a good
completely
question.
black background with a white light in the middle, yeah, you're gonna experience some glare. It's not any more distracting than something like the Valve Index's God Rays or Quest 2's God Rays, but because the lenses and displays are different than any other headset, so is the type of glare. It's something you'll notice right away, but after using it for 30 minutes or so, my brain kind of cancels it out the same way it does with other VR
Dude, that's
headsets.
weird.
I'm just making sure you
I don't know if
that
I
it's
like
there.
that.
I also found that with these lenses, keeping them smudge-free is way more important than others. But the next thing, there's a pretty harsh technical limitation here, refresh rate-wise, because of these displays.
Flutz. You know it,
The Beyond is only capable of a max 90 hertz refresh rate, and technically, if you want the full native 2560 by 2560, you'll have to go all the way down to 75 hertz. Otherwise, the Beyond upscales a 1920 by 1920 resolution image, and that sounds awful, but that's not the whole story. I was a little confused about the specifics of the upscaling on 90 hertz, so I just asked Big Screen themselves about the details, and turns out this upscaling compression is really just the same thing that the Index uses when you flick on 144 hertz. Also, the Vive Pro 2 uses the same upscaling technique as well. Just kind of nobody talks about it and its specifics.
DSC is just encoding signals that don't fit over certain portions of the electronics so that they can fit at a higher refresh rate. And then when it gets to the displays, we decompress it to the full native resolution of the panel, but we're able to losslessly compress things down, and it's visually lossless.
So 90 hertz is 90 hertz, and you are getting 99% of the image quality you would be getting at 75 hertz. But there's also another thing here. The big reason refresh rate is thrown around a lot in the world of VR headsets is because it's a pretty good metric of motion clarity, which is incredibly important for VR. Except it's hard to compare LCD panels like on the Index to the micro OLEDs like on the Beyond. Because, for example, the pixel response time on the Beyond is literally 1,000th of the Index's. So 90 hertz for a micro OLED isn't the same perceived value or look as 90 hertz on an LCD panel. It's a little complex, and of course, I still would have loved 120 hertz, but what I'm trying to say here is that as a 144 hertz Index user, I didn't mind the 90 hertz. And I seriously don't think it's nearly as big of a drawback as it seems on paper. But now, of course, the other elephant in the room, field of view. So here are my recorded field of view numbers for the Index, Quest 2, and the Beyond. This is all subjective. Everyone's going to be slightly different here, but you can see my FOV is about the exact same as the Quest 2, and it's about 15 degrees less horizontally and vertically than the Index. And again, all of these things may feel like a step back. Lower field of view, half the refresh rate, come on. But here's where technical on-paper specifications just don't capture the most important part of a virtual reality experience, the actual experience. Because the second you throw on a Beyond, you can tell immediately this is something completely new. So you've heard the technicals. This is the Beyond experience. The first time you put on this headset, it feels way more like putting on a pair of reality portal goggles. Because
of reality portal goggles, how much did you get paid to talk about it that way? When you put this on, you'll get instant satisfaction in your no-no spot, in your loins. Yes, when you wear this headset, it's going to be the best experience that you ever had. Yes.
Of the face gasket that literally conforms exactly to your face, zero light comes in from your surroundings. And it's kind of a weird feeling. It's almost like visual sensory reality deprivation. And I think you'll get what I mean, but you just don't have that subliminal reality lifeline of peeking through the nose hole, or that slight little pinprick of light that you use to see through like you have on every other VR headset.
I mean, look at this. How much do you think he's getting paid for this? I'm just teasing. I would never question Thrill Seeker's integrity. I'm sure he's not getting paid for this. sure he's not getting paid for this. Shut up, Pepe.
All you can see here is the virtual. And on top of that, the Beyond is crazy light and it fits like a glove. I mean, that's the whole point of it being custom made. It's a big part of the experience. No longer is VR a giant half-pound toaster floating in front of your face. But the real magic here are the displays. Micro OLEDs are just incredible for VR. And these ones are tuned really well. Near Vario Aero clarity with 28 pixels per degree, no mirror like on PSVR 2, imperceivable screen door effect, vibrant colors, and super high contrast ratios. It's beautiful. And while these displays are probably dimmer and the FOV is probably lower than what you're used to, because there's absolutely no light leak, there's no sensory or light reference for your eyes to compare the brightness to. It's like, imagine grabbing your phone in the middle of the night. The brightness is at 30% or whatever, which is dim outside in the day, but it's blinding and makes you wince at 3 a.m. And it's because your eyes have adapted to a dark room. And well, when you're on VR Visual Sensory Deprivation Island and the Beyond's displays can literally go all the way black since they're micro OLEDs, when you're in a dark environment for a few minutes, your eyes will have adjusted, so when something bright does come up, your eyes will react to it physically. It's all relative. Right now with LCD panels, we're just blasted with light all the time, and light leak makes that even worse. This, however, is just an entirely different perceptual experience. And in the last video, my eyes had adjusted to the completely dark environment, so the moon seemed really bright. And this time I was playing Half-Life Alyx and it felt like I was playing a completely different game. The mood and tone and how my body was reacting to it was just off the walls. Plus, the resolution and clarity just makes everything look way better than it did before. I can see detail where there was aliasing or individual pixels before. And this is my Beyond experience. VR feels fresh again, and I'm spending more time in it than I have in years. And on top of that, it's way more comfortable and I'm far more immersed. Listen. I'm literally getting...
I think that sometimes too as well. Futz says I smell show, and listen to me. I've been watching this dude for a long time, and I don't think this dude's shilling because if I don't think I'd still be watching this dude. Like, if you take the time to watch this dude's content, you just understand that he's like super passionate about this genre of gaming that really is the future of gaming. I mean, like, I think everything's going to be VR one day. I literally think like most gaming, we're going to look at gaming now as side scrolling as we do like side scrolling, you know, side scrollers back in the day, right? Side scroller games, man. That's like all we ever had, right? Except in the top down view, right? Side scrollers and top down. That's like all we had in like late 80s. And then in the 90s, we're getting forward here talking about Castle Wolfenstein, you know, talking about these games that bring that first person's perspective into it. It was like the first step into this VR world, right? If you really think about it, those titles, those were the very first titles. Wolfenstein, Doom, these titles really brought FPS to the forefront. They were never really a thing before. Remember Mario 64 on the console when Mario 64 blew out and you're just like, wow, those were like the first VR experiences that we had. Us old school guys, you know. Now as VR starts to develop again, what I'm feeling is we're getting back into that vibe where like VR will eventually take over gaming and be the only thing that there is, because everybody's going to insert themselves into it, right? And everybody will look at the way we're gaming now as we do side scrollers back in the day. Like, I think we're not talking too long either. We're really not talking that far out. Mid 2030s, I think most gaming's probably going to be VR. We'll see. We'll see. But like, I can smell it. I can smell it.
Getting lost in virtual reality again like it's my first time. And let me just tell you something really cool, but
Gator.
also a little terrifying.
How you doing,
My
Gator?
first day with the Beyond at
Good
home,
to see you, bro.
I threw on the headset and somehow 10 hours flew by. And when I took off the headset, it was dark outside. I think the last time that happened was when I first got VR
I don't think
years ago and played Lone Echo on the
though.
CV1. And I've been chasing that feeling ever since. But here you go. I'll say it right now, I hope that all headsets can reach this level of immersion. But if they do, it's also a little scary, but I guess I have really enjoyed my little peek into the potential future of VR. So at this point, it may sound like I kinda like this headset, and yeah, obviously, and I will stick by that. I'm not getting any kickback.
Yeah, it's
this
1,000.
is only
It's
a
1,000.
loaner unit.
I saw it.
I'm not getting anything for saying this. But right now, it is the headset that I'm using.
I'm not getting anything for saying this. See, he's good. He's good. He's good. Because as he edits it, he's thinking like, you know, he's a great content creator. I'm telling you why. He's cutting this up. He's editing this up. And while he edits up, he's listening to it. And he's like, I bet he did get a free headset though, Fingers. I bet he did get a free headset. Possibly, but I don't think he got any money for this. And while he's editing it, he's thinking like, I want to make sure everybody understands I'm not shilling for this because it sounds like I'm shilling, and that's why I like it. It's like this journalistic integrity he has, where he's very conscious of his viewer, he's very conscious of his fan base, and I really dig that. There aren't a lot of content creators that really put their fans first, except this channel here. That's why you're involved. That's why you're here. Welcome to DG360. Thank you.
I'm in a fountain.
Where all good things come from. Basking in my own narcissism. I'm drowning, help.
More than anything else. In fact, I haven't been using any other headset, and I've been using VR more. And to me, that's a pretty darn good piece of hardware. However, do not get me wrong here. I am not saying you should go out and rip out a kidney and go buy this thing. Look, take it from experience. I've sold enough kidneys for this whole VR thing, and well, I'm running out of them, and my wallet hurts. And I also know for a fact that, again, this headset is not for everyone. And I'm also truly not sure if I'm gonna use this as long as I use my index for. In fact, I kind of doubt I'm gonna get 4 years out of this. But along that same vein, I really urge you to not think of this as the Index 2, because the Index as it is still 10,000% relevant. The Beyond doesn't make your Index or Quest 2 any worse or obsolete. It just makes the experiences that you can have in VR today a little bit better. Instead, I want you to think of this as something like an Index Micro. Remember those Game Boy Minis or PSP Micros, whatever? Kind of like that.
Yeah, and look at the advancement just in shape and design. I mean, like, you know, look, they start off like the old TV sets, and now they're like the LCD screens in terms of shape and design. You know, like, it just will continually get smaller and smaller until that shit's just like jacked into your head and uploaded like the Matrix. You know what I mean? That's eventually what it'll be. I was reading an article seeing how Neuralink got denied once again, Elon Musk's company Neuralink. And I think the government's just coming down so hard on Elon Musk, dude. You know, I understand Elon Musk is a very polarizing type of dude, right? One thing I do have to say about Elon Musk is he gets shit done. He gets shit done. You know, a lot. Well, he didn't start it out. He wasn't the originator. I mean, like, who cares? The guy buys shit and gets shit done. You know, you might not like the way it gets done. It just gets done. You know what I mean? Like, the guy gets shit done.
Like an Index Micro. Remember those Game Boy Minis or PSP Micros, whatever? Kind of like that. It does everything that the Index already does, some things a lot better, and some things not quite as good because of the form factor. And it doesn't necessarily add any new features, but it does do exactly what Big Screen was trying to do. They made the best PC VR headset they possibly can. And of course, it is expandable. I added face tracking onto this thing. It did perfectly fine. And you can add all sorts of other stuff. I'm pretty sure Nofio is working on a wireless adapter for it.
Nothing gets done, and you know, that's the gripe. I shouldn't like go off on this tangent, but like, everybody's fighting with one another. We're so divided as a country that nothing fucking gets done. It started off with our politicians lying to us for how long now, and arguing and bickering and not being able to work together and get shit done, and it's extended all the way down to us. You know. You know, maybe it's the other way around, you know, because that's the way it should be in America. Like, we run the shit. We run it. They work for us, right? But we forgot that. On both sides. We forgot that, man. And so, like, it just is reflected into our political stage, you know? It's crazy.
But you could just do the exact same thing with the Index. It doesn't really add anything other than the experience and the immersion. The Index is not dead. But that being said, the Index has gotten stale for me. I've used it for 4 years now. That's an eternity in the world of tech.
He's done with it. He's throwing it away.
Here's who I would absolutely recommend this to. If you're currently an Index user or Vive user, meaning you're already on Steam VR and you have a grand laying around, and some of these trade-offs don't bother you, I almost guarantee that you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, and you'll have a very similar Beyond experience as me. If you're not on Steam VR already, though, this is a way harder sell. A grand plus base stations,
it's like when people
plus
talk about
controllers,
DG360.
I don't know.
People
That's
either love
a
me or
lot of
hate
money,
me.
and I don't know if I could
There's no
really
middle ground
recommend
with
that with a clear
DG360.
conscience. And if you're someone that will not compromise on field of view, other headsets exist, and all of these ideas can coexist. That's the cool part about virtual reality hardware right now. We're figuring things out and trying new things, and it's awesome. All I'm saying is I've had a really great time with the Beyond, and it's the device out of all the ones that I've tried and that I own that actually gets me to use VR consistently. And for that reason, right now, it's my favorite VR headset. And also, it's pretty exciting to know that big screen isn't done. This is literally just V1, and I'm excited to see how far custom-made super tiny VR headsets can go in the future. But I will say, next time, moving forward from this point, I think starting next year, I'm not sure if I will be buying any VR headset that doesn't have face and eye tracking built in. I'm giving it a pass this time because I think I can mod it in later. I've already got face tracking working, but still, Beyond 2, I'll put in my wish list now. Wider field of view, face tracking, eye tracking. It's just
I'm sorry. Pepe. I shouldn't be sorry. Pepe should be sorry. Hold on 1 second while I boo him. Boo! 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 You're failing me on so many levels today, Pepe. I'm literally going to fire you on today's show. I don't understand what he's trying to do to me. What I was saying is field of view is really important to me. So it is interesting because I said that at the very beginning of this when he was talking about this headset, and I could tell the field of view wasn't where I wanted it to be, and that's exactly what he's saying with this headset. He's like, I wish we'd have a little bit more field of view with this.
crank those numbers up. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know. Other than that, thank you so much everybody for watching this. It means the world to me. And if I missed anything here, I'll be doing a Beyond AMA on Twitch right after this. Or you can just comment down below. But yeah, again, thank you. And of course, much love everybody. Thrill out.
I can't say that. All right, everybody. Listen, we're going to go back to the show. If you're watching here on YouTube, don't forget to push the like button down below. And remember this, we're basically starting something very new here where we're putting highlights out that will have credits at the very beginning where you guys get credited. So take some time out. Might want to hit the channel. Check out our YouTube membership section. Did a lot of work on it. Let's get back to the show.